so my thanks to Bob Manner. Just to let you know, our speaker tonight has been a practicing architect for 20 years, and his deep concern about the World Trade Center high-rise collapses on 9/11 began after hearing the startling conclusions of reluctant 9/11 researcher David Ray Griffin on Berkeley, California, KPFA's radio's Guns and Butter program in May of 2006, which changed his life radically and launched his own unyielding quest for the truth about 9/11 and inspired him to found the organization Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. This organization now numbers over 300 architects and engineers, demanding a new investigation into all 3 World Trade Center high-rise collapses. So with that, I'd like to please join me in welcoming Mr. Richard Gage, AIA architect. Hello.
Hello.
All right, let's get going. There's a lot to cover, and you're going to be blown away. This information blew me away. It's blowing millions of people away across the country and the world. I want to thank you, first of all, for being willing to take on the destruction of the World Trade Center and its staggering loss of life on 9/11. It's extremely important that we know the whole truth about this event because it served as the pretext for the invasion of 2 countries in which already over 1 million people have perished, and also as a pretext for the loss of many of our cherished liberties here at home through legislation such as the Patriot Act, the Military Commissions Act, the forthcoming Homegrown Terrorism Act. Very, very disturbing legislation that should be causing all of us lots of sleepless nights. Any of us can be named a terrorist by simply using force. How is force designed? Defined, it's not. That's the problem. The use of force is not defined, and that spells trouble. Another 9/11 could happen if we don't dedicate ourselves to finding out exactly what happened and why, and to bring those actually responsible to justice. What do I mean it could happen again? Well, basically we're promised another 9/11, a worse 9/11 by members of the Bush administration, Congress, and the media, with statements such as this from our own president, where he promised us the next 9/11 will make September 11th pale by comparison. Now, why are they talking about this? We'll come back to this. Why do 36% of Americans believe that the administration is somehow complicit in this poll by Scripps Howard? Very likely or somewhat likely that government officials either allowed the attacks to happen or carried them out themselves. These are the reasons that we must peer into this painful part of our recent history to re-examine the relatively new physical evidence from 9/11 that we've not seen in the mainstream media. It's only come out in the last couple of years. And to find out why, for instance, another 2006 poll by the New York Times and CBS reveals that 28% of Americans believe that the Bush administration is lying, and not just about the events in Iraq, but about 9/11. Time magazine reporting 36%. A Zogby poll reporting last year that 16% of the, in this Scripps Howard Ohio University poll, finding 16%, very important, of Americans believing that the Twin Towers themselves were brought down by explosive controlled demolition. Well, let's see where we are in this group. How many believe pretty much the official story that the planes hit the towers and there was an ensuing fire for about an hour, hour and a half, and then the steel weakened and a gravitational collapse caused a gravitational collapse caused the fall of both Twin Towers. Pretty much how many of us on that page? This is the official story, real high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anybody else? How many are unsure? Just you're here to find out. Okay, open my. Oh, hold on. I got to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, good. and 17. I'm going to ask you that question again. Well, how many of you believe these towers were brought down by explosive controlled demolition? A lot of you. Okay, this is an unusual route. Okay, what we're going to do, we will ask this question again, and after you've had a chance to see the evidence today, which is very, very interesting. The NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, claims that they found no evidence for explosive controlled demolition. Later they admit in the same report that they never looked for it. Okay? And we're going to take a look at what that means. Well, and we looked for it. Scientists, architects, engineers, many others, and it's not difficult to find. We're going to present that to you tonight. We have a website which you can also see this evidence on the right side in bulleted format, similar to the brochure that you have. We have some very interesting articles in the middle. If you agree with us that we presented some doubt and you want a new investigation, sign our petition, which asks Congress for an investigation. We now have 350 architects and engineers demanding a new investigation. You can watch the PowerPoint step by step, because we're going to be flying through this. You won't be able to read all the text on the screen. You can also watch the DVD on your computer. Of course, you can buy it and pass it around. We have it here also for sale. Well, this is why we have the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, and why the 9/11 Truth movement is growing by millions every year. Why I'll be speaking in 24 cities across this country before the end of the year. I've been in 24 different cities so far. I have a full-time job. I work in the Bay Area for a large architecture firm, and I'm currently working on a $400 million project with 2 million square feet of retail, parking structure, fireproof steel frame, mid-rise office space. Over 1,200 tons of steel framing altogether. And these are some other projects I've worked on with steel framing, fireproofing on a high school in San Ramon. So I continue to have 2 jobs. It's very difficult, let me assure you. Well, on 9/11, all of us were subjected to shock and awe, killing thousands of us and destroying cultural icons. But the 6 years since has given us, hopefully, enough time to come out from underneath this trance, really, that we were all put in, and examine these events more objectively. We also have new evidence to examine that hasn't come out except in about 2005 and even last year. So we're going to take a close look at this, but let's get on the same page first and see how this myth developed and what the myth is.
And that 4 passenger planes were hijacked and taken radically off course. Within an hour, 2 of the planes had flown into the